Okay, the final topic that we want to look at today is called Lookaheads and Lookbehinds. Now, this is a relatively complex topic compared to the previous topics that we've looked at. However, we'll go through it slowly, I'll try to explain everything that there is to know, and hopefully we can all get there together. Just to say, by the way, in case you've forgotten, I will be going through some Python examples at the end of this video, so stick around to see how you can use regex in your own programs. Okay, lookaheads and lookbehinds. Not the most simple topic to go through. There are also two different types of each of them. So there is the lookahead, or rather the positive lookahead. There is the negative lookahead. There is the lookbehind, or positive lookbehind. And there is finally the negative lookbehind. These are all very useful. They all have their own different ways that they are useful, and we'll go through a couple of those today. But we will also go through how all four of them work, because knowing how they all work is crucial to understanding how to use them. So let's start with lookaheads. So lookaheads are where we want to match a string, but only if that string is followed by another string. But that second string won't be part of the overall match. I'll show you what I mean. If, for example, I want to return the word bacon, but I only want to return that if it's then followed by the word sandwich. Now, obviously, we could typically use just the phrase bacon sandwich, and if we use bacon sandwich as our test string and use bacon bagel, for example, it is only matching on bacon sandwich. However, it's returning bacon sandwich when we only want it to return the word bacon. So how do we achieve that? Well, we use parentheses, we then use a question mark, and then we use equals. And what we want to do at the end is close those parentheses as well. Now, that's not quite right the way that I've written it, because what I actually want to do is just use the word bacon without the space at the end and add the space to the lookahead. So as a result of doing that, what we're doing is matching on the word bacon if it's followed by the word sandwich with a space before it. Otherwise, we don't match it. So I can add a few other strings in here. I can add just the word bacon. I can add bacon sandwiches, and that will match because it's bacon sandwiches obviously contains the phrase bacon sandwich, or rather contains the string bacon sandwich. But all of the other examples in there won't match because the word bacon isn't followed by the word sandwich. And I apologize if I've made you hungry going through that. So next we want to look at the negative lookahead. Now, this is relatively easy to incorporate if we've already got a positive lookahead written. What we want to do in this case is to just replace the equals that we've got in here with an exclamation mark. So if I do that, what we see is it will now match on bacon bagel and just the word bacon. Why is that? Well, what we've now written using the negative lookahead is to say, let's now match on the word bacon if it's not followed by the word sandwich. So you see bacon sandwich, for example, and bacon sandwiches are now not matched because it is the word bacon followed by the word sandwich. And that is exactly how a negative lookahead works. It's the exact same as a positive lookahead, but also it's the complete opposite of how a positive lookahead works. Okay, let's now look at lookbehinds, and these are done in a very similar way to lookaheads, but the focus is on the word before. So if I want to look at, let's say, the word successful, but I only want to pull out the word successful if it's preceded by the word job. Now, the way that we can do that is by opening parentheses, putting in the word job in those parentheses, and we also want to put a space in there as well. But in this case, what we want to look at is using a question mark followed by the left arrow, which would be the less than sign. So that for me is shift and comma. And that is essentially a little arrow that points left and says look before. And then we want to use the equal sign like we did before. And that's how we build a positive look behind. So if we were to put in the word successful, it would not match. If we were to put in the phrase job successful, it would match on the word successful because it is preceded by the word job, and obviously also the space after the word job as well. So look behinds work in a very similar way to look aheads, but they use this left arrow or less than symbol as part of the whole regex. Now, the way that I like to use this the most is for currencies. So if I want to pull out all of the monetary values that are in a document, a positive look behind is a very, very useful way of doing that. So for example, if I have a few digits in here and then have a pound sign followed by 80 and then another random bunch of numbers and another monetary value of, let's say, £215. The way that we can do this is to use the positive look behind and say we want to look at a pound sign. So for me that's shift and 3, it may be different for you. And what we want to use here is what we went through before. So that would be \D and then plus. What will this do? Well, it will pull out the monetary values that I want. So that would be 80 and it would be 215 because they're the monetary values that are contained within the string or within the document. And if I know the order of the monetary values that are in the document, then I can assign 80 and 215 to be values that I'm already aware that are going to be in that document. So you can see exactly how that is incredibly useful to us. Similarly, we can use negative look behinds. So if I go back to the successful example and let's just get rid of the whole parentheses before and put in the word successful again. And if we pull out successful, then the way that we do the negative look behind is to say a question mark followed by the left arrow again, followed by the exclamation mark. Now, what's a good example of this? Well, sometimes you will get something that will say not successful. Now, obviously we don't want to pull out that if it's not successful, but we're looking for the word successful. So if I was to use the word not followed by a space in here, the word successful will match as expected. But if we use, let's say, job not successful, this won't match, which is exactly what we want. This is an excellent way of pulling out potentially negative values and not matching on them, and we make sure that any positive matches are correct. So if we were to pull out the word correct, we only want to pull out the word correct if the word not isn't before it. We obviously don't want to pull that out if it says not correct, because that would be incorrect, but we can use a negative look behind to achieve that, and this is how you would do it. Hopefully that makes sense to you. We are going to go into a little bit of a test now on this. Okay, test time for look aheads and look behinds. I want to pull out some monetary values from my document, and I want to only pull out monetary values that are in the hundreds. So I want this to be a 3-digit match. I only want it to match on digits that are 3 digits long. I want them to have to follow a $sign because I'm using an American document here, and I don't want it to match on anything other than 3 digits. So I don't want it to match on single digit monetary values, 2-digit monetary values, 4 not interested, literally only 3-digit monetary values that follow a $sign. Now, good luck with this one. Hopefully it's not too difficult after the explanation that I've just given you on how this works, and come back later to see if you're successful. Okay, hopefully you got on with that test. I will admit that I did trick you slightly, but I will go into details as to how. If you got even close to the correct answer here, very, very well done. This is not a typically easy topic to understand, lookaheads and lookbehinds. So if you've grasped it and you've given a good answer to this one, very, very well done indeed. Now, we wanted to pull out 3-digit monetary values that were followed a $sign, and specifically a $sign. We didn't want it to match on anything 2-digit or 4-digit or any other amount other than 3. So let's look at some potential examples. We can use $500, we can use £300, we can use $90, which we don't want it to match to, and we can use $8,000, which we also don't want it to match. Now, how would we get started from here? Well, firstly, we want to use a positive look behind to look for specifically a $sign rather than any other sign, like a pound sign or any other digit, for example. We want it to specifically be 3 digits that are straight after a $sign. How do we do this? Well, we use the parenthesis, we use a question mark, we use a left arrow or less than, and we use an equal sign, and then we put in a $sign and close the parenthesis. However, this isn't quite right because the $sign is a boundary in itself. If you remember from the previous topic, the $sign signifies the end of the string. So you can see that actually what it's matched so far is just the end of the string. How do we want to specifically look at a $sign rather than using a $sign as the intended symbol that it refers to in regex, which is the end boundary? Well, this is the part that I stumped you on and tricked you on, and I do apologize for it. The simple answer is that we use a backslash as an escape character before the $sign. So if we put that in, we're looking at specifically the $sign symbol as a string rather than using the $sign as its normal operation within regex. And we do that, as I say, by using a backslash, which is known as an escape character, and it means that anything after the escape character is just used as its literal string. Hopefully you understand that. If you don't, by all means, go through it again. But from this point, it's not too difficult. So what we want to look at is specifically 3 digits that are after the $sign. How do we do this? Well, we go back to our trusty \d and curly braces, and we put a 3 within those curly braces. We're not quite complete because we are looking at 2 matches so far, which is the $500 that we would expect, but also the $8,000, because that is at least 3. So we finally want to round this off with a /b, which will be our word boundary because we don't want any more digits after those 3. And you can see that finally we are at the point where we're only matching on $500 because it is a string of 3 digits followed by a word boundary that are immediately after a $sign. So like I say, fantastic job if you got anywhere near the actual answer to that one. I apologize for the trick that I gave you as part of it with the actual $sign and using the escape character, but escape characters themselves are very, very useful because there are times, like I say, where you do want to match a $sign, or you want to match a caret, or even want to match brackets, but you're not able to typically do that because they're a regex function in themselves. So that's why we use the backslash. So very, very well done. Now, as I said, let's get into some Python examples.